The infamous serial killer Dexter Morgan is back in another show. Yes, 4 TV Dexter shows. I'm not even joking. I can't make this up. Dexter Resurrection. I got a chance to see the first 4 episodes early, and this, of course, is going to be my non-spoiler reaction and review to those episodes. I'm going to stay as vague as possible. I literally just finished the 4 episodes in a binging mode, and of course, it does premiere this week with its first 2 episodes. But they very much asked that we got up to episode 4 at least before reviewing this, which made me go, okay, you know what? I'm not going to review this episode by episode leading up. Let's just review the first 4, get those thoughts out. And then, of course, if you guys would like future episode reviews of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up, of course, until right up there with the finale, I will do that. If you're interested, let me know down below. I'm a massive fan of Dexter, just to kind of give a little bit of context to that. The original show for Dexter, I thought was fantastic all around. It's a show that I definitely like to go back and revisit, even with its okay ending. I think for me, Michael C. Hall just crafted such one of the best characters ever on television. And when that show ended, I always wanted a little bit more. I thought they left it open a little bit too much for me to go, I could get more. Dexter New Blood was announced, and I was instantly excited. It was one of my most anticipated shows. And for the most part, I loved that show up until the ending, which felt rushed. And they said, that's it. That's the finale. Which felt okay, that's cool, I guess. I didn't really care for the ending there. And with that, Resurrection was announced right after Original Sin was, the prequel, which I rolled my eyes at, but I watched Original Sin and it really surprised me, and it made me more eager and excited for Resurrection. Now, I had questions specifically on how New Blood ended, and leading into Resurrection, how was Dexter Morgan going to get out of some of these things? Of course, I'm not going to spoil those here, but for the most part, and just my overall context of this, as someone who loved Dexter, who really liked New Blood, and really liked Original Sin, Resurrection is, for me, a nice return to form for Dexter. I think this is a nice in-between all 3 of those shows in terms of the tone. It kind of has some of the needle drops of course, Dexter Original Sin. It has some of that nice little dark humor from the original Dexter series, but it also has that more modern feel that New Blood brought, and that more dramatic feel that New Blood brought. And I never expected them to ever recapture the magic of the original Dexter series, specifically in the first 4 seasons. That there's just something about those first 4 seasons that I don't think any show could ever recoup nowadays, just because of modern technology and the way that shows work. For the most part, what Resurrection's able to grab is at least that vibe. And for me, that is one of the biggest strengths of this series, which, for people who don't know, Dexter Morgan is now awakened from a coma and sets out for New York City, determined to find his son Harrison and make things right. But when Miami Metro's Angel Batista arrives with questions, something that at the end of New Blood, all of us wanted to see happen, Dexter realizes his past is catching up to him fast. Now, like I said, the vibe of what Resurrection is very much is exactly kind of what I was hoping for, and it works for the most part. But I think the thing that really makes this series work is the new avenues that they throw Dexter into. Of course, in the original Dexter series, it was all Miami, Florida. And it was awesome, but after a while, the show kind of found into its same angle. You could only do so many things with the character of Dexter, and New Blood threw him into a new area, threw him in with new characters, and brought his son back, which made me go, okay, this is interesting. I like how this is going. His dark passenger is going to have to come back out. And of course, with where New Blood ends, it brings us to Resurrection now. And for me, that is one of the biggest key parts, is that you're putting Dexter in a new area, New York City perhaps, the city that never sleeps, and you're introducing some fascinating new characters. And that for me is maybe the ideal situation for this show. Now, I don't know, and again, just like New Blood, we didn't know. I don't know if Resurrection is the final end-all be-all of things of Dexter. I highly doubt it at this point, since we already have a Trinity Killer prequel series also announced. But I really doubt that this is the end-all be-all of it all situation. What I can imagine is that this is the start of a new series. And I could see this maybe just after the first 4 episodes. And I hope, and I could see this running for a couple seasons, to really further out and finish out a couple more storylines in Dexter's life. I could be wrong. We'll see how that goes. Definitely as a fan, I would like to see more, especially this, or just end it definitively and give us that satisfying ending that we've all been praying for. Please, at this point, you can't keep bringing him back, but that's the one thing, is that setting it up in New York City, you have, of course, returning character Angel Batista coming after him and asking these questions. And you also have Dexter looking for his son, which Harrison ends up in the situation that he's in New York City is interesting. But also what Dexter finds himself in New York City doing is also fascinating. And there's a couple thoughts I have about certain things on that I'll talk more about when I get to my issues. But I overall really love what they've set up, specifically with Peter Dinklage's character and especially Kristen Ritter's character. I think that is some of the most fascinating stuff that they've added into the Dexter series since maybe season 4 of Dexter. So that is really awesome to see. And specifically, like when you get introduced to some of the new serial killers in New York City, I think that is some of the highlights of this season. But that's where I go down to say this. You know what you're getting from this series. Michael C. Hall returns in a phenomenal way as Dexter Morgan. It's great to see how much Dexter has evolved, especially as someone who's currently still going through the original series and like just enjoying that. That's one of those series I can pop on every year and just dive right back into. But also, Harrison is a little bit stronger of an actor this time around. I think the material given to Jack Alcott this time is a little bit better, and I actually am not as annoyed with Harrison as I was in the last season. I also will say I think Peter Dinklage, just for the small little piece that I've already seen of him, I thought he was great. Uma Thurman is already making her triumphant display in here and really much making a mark. David Zayas as Detective Angel Batista is also fantastic. And there's a couple other serial killers in here that I haven't seen enough of, but I really like what we've seen. But it is Kristen Ritter for me, who is one of the more intriguing characters right alongside the right. And I cannot wait to see more of her this season so far. I think for me, from just a little bit I have seen of her, she is one of the more fascinating characters that we've had in Dexter in forever. Like honestly, forever. And there is a lot of fun callbacks to the original series that I think fans of that will get an absolute kick out of, specifically in the first 2 episodes. Now, like I said, it's my reaction. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but I do want to kind of segue into my issues. As you can tell, I really like Dexter Resurrection. I think it really finds its footing by the episode 3 and episode 4 mark. But the first 2 episodes are a little bit slow to get into and have a lot of cheesiness and plot conveniences that, for me, I don't think work overall, but I've kind of forgotten about them since I'm so invested within episode 3 and episode 4. And some of that just comes after, New Blood really opened up Dexter's life. His girlfriend at the time threatened him, knew who he was. Dexter killed someone. His son shot him. I mean, New Blood ended in a very big way. And in some ways, it really does feel like Dexter should have died there. And this was supposed to be the rumored Harrison spinoff. But of course, you can't do that when most of the fans don't like Harrison. And that's be nice about it. So what do you got to do? You have to resurrect Dexter. And it's not the concept of how he stayed alive that bothers me. That is fine. It's whatever. That plot convenience I can roll off. But there's a couple easy things that just how Dexter got out of the situation with his girlfriend at that time, the police chief, I didn't buy. I didn't buy at all, and I still think about it even later on into the show. Again, I for the most part have forgotten about it now because it's okay, let's roll on to the next thing. But I will say I think that is a very disappointing aspect, and I think it was a little bit of a lazy writing thing. And I think there is a little bit of lazy writing in the first 2 episodes, primarily to just get us back into Dexter and set up where he is now. And it's kind of interesting to say that is because I actually think the material with Harrison is more interesting in the first episode alone than it is with what Dexter is, because it's there's cool things in the first episode. Don't get me wrong. There's some really cool stuff that I was like, oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I love how they're using that. A little cheesy there, but that's fine. I just, for the most part, think that plot convenience and some of the plot conveniences they have in that first 2 episodes really hold the series back in a very lazy way. But I can almost forgive it because it got me back into Dexter and it made me enjoy it and reminded me and brought back that same feeling I have rewatching the original series, is how much I love this character and how much I can just follow him along. And I'm curious to see what they do with him next. So for me, if my biggest issue with Dexter Resurrection is it having a slow start and also just having some plot conveniences, I can imagine that the rest of the season can make me feel a little bit better once we get a little bit more into it. And I think, again, like I said, episode 3 hooked me back in. Episode 4 absolutely made me go, yeah, this is must watch. I need to see the rest of this series. Now, they could drop the ball. That's absolutely 1000% could happen. But I am happy with Dexter Resurrection right now. Am I in love with it? No. I liked New Blood a little bit faster than I did like Resurrection, but I'm here. I'm ready for it. Bring on episode 5. Bring on the rest of it. With all that said, I'm going to give like a tentative rating right now that could change depending on how the rest of the series goes. Overall, for the new season of Dexter Resurrection, I'm going to give episodes 1 through 4 a B. That's just right now. And I think it's only a little bit lower. Probably would have been higher if it wasn't just for the first 2 episodes. But I think this is a great return to form for Dexter as a whole. And I cannot wait to see what Resurrection brings next. I think in a way this is kind of the best that Dexter has been, specifically in those like 2 episodes. Like I really can't emphasize enough. If you're not really feeling it in the first 2, I definitely recommend getting into at least episodes 3 and 4 to see where the rest of the series plays out. But again, you'll let me know down below your thoughts. If you want to see me continue the rest of the episodes and reviewing them, let me know down below as well. But of course, until next time, stay classy.